Again, it's great to be here in game week. You guys are kind of well into our preparation, whether it be coming out of preseason and your recovery, nutrition, some rest that you need, kind of getting legs back, schemes, adjustments, whatever. Real deal is kind of coming together as a team. We really went through last week, and you're still practicing and competing, and now you got to play. You know, the guy you've been fighting against, trying to beat every day. Now he's really helping you, and so it's trying to get these guys to understand how to play for each other and how to put offense and defense together. And it's the spring and preseason is you're always halfway happy and halfway mad all the time because something's good and something's not good because you're going back and forth. We did have a lot of banter with some give and take of both sides, but now it's kind of getting these guys playing together. Again, as we went through the preseason, just some updates again, just to review a few guys. Again, like I say, Jay Sean, Donovan Clark, and Garrett Welch was a walk-on, are all out for the year. Ty Smith has been medical. We talked about that. This is all kind of history. Tommy Mister has left the program. You got in Camion Patrick in the academic redshirt situation he's in. We added Wesley Green at defensive back. We've also added one more player, Jamiris Bowen, who's an offensive lineman that we recruited out of Shaker Heights, Cleveland, Ohio. Spent his freshman year at the University of Cincinnati. And we've added him. He's starting school and is with us as an offensive line. That's just happened into last week. So both he and Wesley will have to sit out as transfers. Like I say, a young man that we had recruited hard. Didn't get him the first time. 6 foot, 4+, 5, pushing 5, 312, 315. Athletic, was a D lineman that's actually got the body type and can grow into being an offensive line guy. And one of our thoughts, we're getting upper-ended with some very good juniors and seniors. We thought about taking a JC lineman. We're kind of taking this as a JC guy we've got here every day to train instead of getting a guy mid-season or next year. So we're excited to have Jamiris join us up. We'll add a few late walk-ons. We've been through it last week. When school starts, you can exceed 105. We'll add 12, 15 kids, give or take, here, and we'll do that this week. Those guys typically are practice guys and, really don't get into the mix a lot, but you like them. They help you. Again, coming to camp, a few bumps and bruises, but kind of standard deal as far as health of our team. Had a strong, positive camp. Again, I think we're in good health. I think we're in good shape. I think we got more depth than we had. We're stronger. We've lifted. We had a 45-minute lift yesterday. We'll have a 45-minute lift tomorrow morning before we practice. We're doing a lot to try to keep our team strong and up to shape. I think we're practicing hard enough that we're not over-practicing. Where I think our time on the field is getting less because we're going at it pretty hard. Like I say, we had a great week of practice last week. I think that third week of camp, preseason is a little hard. You gotta get me to game week. Get me on the field, or I'm tired. I'm tired of seeing you and practicing. Tired of listening to the coach. Tired of drills. You can get a little mundane. We had our best week last week, which was very, very, very encouraging. So again, I think we're prepared for the journey, the 15th season. Looking forward to it. Week 1, Southern Illinois. Opponent 1. Again, a winning, prideful program. Has been for decades. FCS program, yes, but historically those teams have matched up, and I don't know if you can call them upsets anymore with the balance and development of football. I made a comment to our team, to you guys. I think they had as many guys drafted as we have had in recent years. They have as many guys in the NFL, and they've got guys that are recruited by SEC and Big Ten schools that bounce backs or transferred out for some reason. So they got some talent. They got players. They got draftable guys. They got a veteran staff, well coached. Dale Lennon, our head coach, has been there 8 years. Their OC is an O-line background guy. They're always good up front. And a lot of you guys will know their DC, David Elson, who I believe, I think he's a Chittard alum. He used to be the head coach at Western Kentucky and actually worked for me my first year in recruiting and was a part of Coach Lynch's staff. So they got some ties to our area. They always recruit over here. It'll be a big game. Their kids know that it'll be a tape that those kids that want to play pro football, the scouts are going to look at. So you're going to get a great effort. You're going against good guys. Their spread, no huddle offense. It's kind of standard issue. Gives us a chance, and I'm sure them the same way. You can kind of work against yourselves and almost do your scouting report. The quarterback's a veteran. They do have a transfer from Northern Illinois in the mix as well, but they got a veteran fifth-year quarterback. Last year's tight end was drafted, and this year's tight end is their most draftable player on their team that the scouts and everybody's looking at. The return 5 stars on O. Defensively, they got rated in a bunch of stats, top 30 last year. Middle linebackers, one of the top players in the country in tackles, which goes with that position. They have returned 6 starters. Special teams are solid. Their returner's back. Their punter is back. They average about 13 yards a punt return, and early in games, kicking blunders, kicking mistakes, sloppy football can haunt you and can be excellent for you, and that'll be one of the challenges that we start. But a quality opponent, excited to play, had a good camp and ready to roll. Really good, and I think we made some strides. I mean, yesterday we kind of went around the room with the players and talked about who we thought had done well, and a couple of the offensive coaches were very complimentary of some of the freshman DBs. That's as good a freshman DB as I've ever competed against, and it was kind of good. That being said, if you say your receivers doing good, you guys read, well, hey, their DBs are weak, or they got these young guys and struggling. We're very pleased with where our secondary is and how it's going, but the offense has done well. Now, I think that last week our defensive front really got going, getting some pressure and really starting to make the quarterback feel a little bit more uncomfortable. I thought the first 2 weeks our offense was really good. I thought the last week the defense made a huge jump and really challenged the offense, and it was great to see. But again, we've had a much better summer preseason. The vibe in the room, Simi Cobbs has been his best. Ricky Jones is back to what we thought he was as a young guy. There's a lot of other guys in competition, but those two are the best outside guys, and we'll play those 6, 8, 10 guys. And that tight end group's going to complement that pass game a little bit. Jordan Howard catches the ball well. Divine Rennie catches the ball well. So hopefully we can spread it around and get that ball not just to one guy like we used to. Have 5, 6, 7, 8 guys getting 3, 4, 5 touches a game. That would be ideal if we could get to there. And it's got a chance to.
Talking about Ricky specifically, I know when he was younger, you guys kind of saw him in the slot. Now he's moved outside. He said he's been working on that for about a year now. What's that move like for a guy that maybe doesn't have the size, but particularly as a quarterback that likes to use the boundaries and throws a pretty good deep ball?
Yeah, well, and that's a good question because, every strength or weakness you have at a receiver position can be used positively or negatively based on where you go. So a smaller guy inside is really kind of a problem as a blocker because he's matched up against bigger bodies, but then he's a better route runner. Outside, with some of the corner sides, sometimes you miss – the guy that maybe can go up and get the big jump ball play. And the Ricky's got good vertical, and he actually plays. He doesn't play small to me. He's a 5'11" kid. He's not 6'3", but he doesn't play like a tiny kid. He is strong, very strong. He is a fourth-year kid. He's very, very mature. But what he gives you is the speed that sometimes the big guy doesn't have the speed. So the big guy can make the jump ball, but the smaller guy can separate. So bottom line, you just kind of find, Zach, those routes that he likes. Some guys are good at posts, some guys like comebacks, and some guys like speed outs. And, you got a bunch of offense. You got to attack the coverage. And, Ricky's got a few things that he's really good at, but he's very well-rounded. He's just a little bit more of a speed guy instead of being 6'2" or 3. A lot of 6'2", 6'3" guys made a little gangly. He creates some coverage problems because he's a little bit quicker, harder to get your hands on. So everybody's different. But he's had a good camp, and it's kind of nice to see. Hopefully this is going to translate into a consistent year. It'd be good for him to have a good year.
From a preparation standpoint, this is about as good as you get with a senior quarterback who's been running an offense for a couple of years. How does that change the way that you approach preparation and all because you have a guy that maybe you trust a little bit more?
Yep, and another good question. Again, we don't want to over-practice. I think we're veteran enough. We're trying to really challenge our coaches to think in their preparation ways and be a little bit more strategic in meeting, a little bit more strategic in walkthroughs, so you're not wearing your team out, but you still need the timing with the receivers. So even though your quarterback's a veteran, you got to get that trust factor where he is. I feel him. I see him. He understands that I know he's not going to beat him deep, so I'm going to put it behind him, or he's got him beat. I'm putting air on him. And the same with those DBs. Your defensive front seven has a lot of experience, but your DBs aren't. So there's a little give and take there. So Coach Shelby, Coach Joseph, Coach Johns have to be pretty creative in how to accomplish some of that timing with receivers and that schematic deal that those young guys have, but in going to a first game with kind of a veteran team that we don't over practice. So it's good to have the veteran side, but we still have, Xander Diamont needs snaps, Danny Cameron needs snaps. I mean, so there's a balance that we're working on, and we're trying to be a little bit more creative and be a better walkthrough and meeting team instead of standing on the field 3 hours every day. We're talking to the kids about less volume, but more energy and effort when we're going, and then trying to do a better job of teaching.
He also said that he feels that there's more trust with the defense now than maybe that there was last year. Have you seen that? Yeah,
I think so, and I think probably as much as anything, too, I think with our coaches understanding what they can and can't do. You know, I've been pretty adamant about some things I think they need to do to get that defensive line making plays and to really help those defensive backs. Like I say, last week it was really we've really worked hard on not just knowing the defense and being where you're supposed to be, but creating some havoc. And I was looking for you, Buck. I didn't see you there. All right, good. The kind of dawned on, where's Buck at here? I got to get my coaching reference deal. You know, we were working Bucks. I want to talk. You can go as hard as you can, but you still got to make the play. So just going hard and being in a spot is not defense. You need to get off the block and make tackles. And we've been working a lot on disengagement and getting to the ball. And, yeah, you've got to scheme. And, yeah, you got to be it's 3 deep, 2 deep, man coverage. I'm hitting X gap. It's this blitz. But as I go there, how to get to the ball. So again, I say I think there's a lot more trust. I think I think our coaches now are teaching technique more than scheme. I think in the first year you're thinking it's kind of scheme. It was that way for us offensively. The first year was all scheme, scheme, scheme. The second year, you could really work on developing some fundamentals. And now you got guys like Spriggs and Feeney or Suffield that have been here for 4 years, so they know the schemes. But if you can really zero back into some great elementary fundamentals, which really is the key to the game. And fundamentals in our game get sloppy because we get scheme happy too much. So it's nice to have some of the veteran guys you're talking about, and I think that's leading to some trust. I think a lot of trust is our coaches understanding the kids and how to put them in better places too. Yeah, well, and again, we're just kind of doing 2 deep. I mean, we're going to play 7, 8, 9, and very much. I mean, we've got a couple, 3, 4 tight ends, and I thought like somebody had an article about 4's better than 1. I read Casaro's little quote, which I liked. So yeah, he's in these, but he's in a very competitive deal. We're going to play 3 tight ends, or 3 running backs, and you need them. And whether Jordan or Devine go out there first, we'll still need a 3rd with Ricky Brookins and Alex Rodriguez. And to me, we keep battling. Again, we've talked a lot with this football team about checking your ego of who goes out first and being selfish. That we need about 18, 19, 20 starters. The best game we played last year was our game defensively at Missouri, and we played everybody on the trip except 1. Every guy that went on the field and played that day. And I think the more we play guys, the better that we're going to be. And like I say, I'm not all giddy on depth chart, and we're going to play 7, 8, 9 receivers easy. And I expect to play about 20 couple guys on both sides of the ball, not counting kicking game.
What have you learned this past month about Marquis Hawkins? What has he kind of showed you now that you've been able to see him?
He is, again, bigger guy, not as fast as Ricky, so a little bit easier sometimes, getting off when he's got cushion, he's good. But now with his size, sometimes learning how to get smaller. We've actually played him a little bit as a slash hybrid running back guy because when we had some situations with Tommy Mister, so we've actually put him as a little bit of a running back receiver kind of guy, and so we're kind of using him as a dual threat role. And first practice he's kind of had for us good. He missed all spring, so he's doing pretty good. He's a little bit down the line, and those young freshmen, quite honestly, are probably as talented or more talented than some of the older guys. And that's one of the rubs is that some of the more skilled kids are some of the young kids. Same thing defensively. Some of those young freshman DBs are really good. And their talent's going to get them on the field.
Have you decided on a backup quarterback, or is that just going to kind of depend on situations?
Yeah, I really thought Xander's been doing really, really, really good. And I guess I've got to come to the decision early is, I always like playing guys. Because I think you just do better. You do better in school. You do better all season. Just the more you play, the happier guys are. He does have a redshirt year. If it's mop-up duty, Danny could do it. I think I've got to come to the deal. I think Xander's done a little bit better, although he still needs to be a little bit cleaner with the ball and be a little smarter from time to time. But he can make some plays. He's got more strength. He's got more zip. He can run around and definitely do some stuff. Nate Boudreaux, Danny Cameron have both been rock solid. So we're way better across the board with those 4 guys. We like the freshmen we've brought in. But I've got to decide this week with Coach Johns early, do we want to play Xander and not worry about getting a year back? My decision would be, if I think we need him, we're going to play him. If I'm not sure we need him, I'd play Danny as a mop-up, and then I would only play Xander if he was best. And we had a major problem. And, for example, we were redshirting Nate Sudfeld a couple years ago until the second quarter of the UMass game. And we had a problem, and, okay, you're playing this game right now. And he went from redshirt to playing in 15 seconds. And if we got to that point, we'll make that decision. Right now, I guess I've just got to sort in my mind long-term, you know, we're going to do what's best for the team this year, and then long-term, is it best for Xander? Can Xander help the team and best long-term to be playing this year, or do he can still be the second team, and mop-up duty could come from Nate Boudreau and Danny Cameron, who we got a lot of confidence in. So we've been practicing so much, I hadn't really thought about it, you know, but it's time to, and we will by Saturday, because we don't want to burn a year if it's not ready to. My thing is, even though I think you play better, I don't want to play a kid 5 plays and lose a year. And so kind of do we think, you know, does it help him grow? Does it help him mature to get on the field? Are we going to play him some? You know, if we said he's not going to have a role and it's just mop-up, I guess we could try to redshirt him. But does he have a role? You know, he can run around and make some plays. And even as good as Nate is it good to have that? So we got to ponder a few things, I guess, and get there.
People don't want to talk about it. You haven't had to worry about the last 4 years, long snapper. You guys concerned about that? Anybody stepping up there?
Well, again, you know, and that was our first year. That spring, we had a kid that graduated the year before, and then I think we had a non-scholarship player that left the team. That first spring was so bad at snapping. If we had any guest at practice, we didn't do snapping that day because it looked like my son's 7th grade team. It was kind of painful. And we found Matt Dooley, who for 4 years never had a bad one. One of the best things, one of the most fortunate things I've ever been a part of, and one of the best things is, the kid was legit and a great human being, great kid, great leader, great student, high end. We've been training. Josh Perrick's been here 2 years. Trying to remember where Josh is from. In-state, I think. No, he's from Chicagoland. He's a Chicago kid. Nolan Goodell, who's from over here from New Pal, playing for Coach Ralph over there. Heck of an athlete. He's in the mix. And we've got a freshman by the name of Dan Godsell out of Ottawa, Ohio, that we kind of targeted, and he was higher up on those deals. So those 3 guys are in the mix. It's kind of neck and neck. We'll kind of see how they practice this week. If there's a drop-off from Matt Dooley, the way they're snapping, it's a slight one. We've put a lot of pressure on them. Now they have not been in the arena with the scoreboard and the lights, but we have put a lot of stress on them in practice, and with the snap timing and the consistency of the snap, they've been very impressive. So we've got 3, and we'll kind of see this week and see how it goes. So someone needs to answer the call, and I think they're all capable. And you can. I mean, Josh is the bigger of the 2 of the 3. He's about 220 and stronger. One kid's 6 couple, 210, 205, and the other guy's about 6 foot, 195. They're different types, but you know they can't hit the center. You get those big bodies on PAT field. It's more about snap timing and placement. And you know you want that snap at 0.7. You want that punt at less than 2.0. You know you want that extra point at 1.2. I mean you want it down and up in 1.2 because you're not blocking those guys on the edge. You're blocking them with timing. So it's really about just speed and accuracy. So I like them. Anything else? Again, last week defensively was awesome. Now I really think it's a tribute. You know, the guy that has the most impact of a game is a quarterback, and he gets all the credit and he gets all the blame. But you know, he looks good when everybody does their job. He looks bad when no one does. But the quarterback has the balls in his hand. We give you the game. It's called football, and we give you the game, the football. It's in your hand every play. And so the quarterback has the most effect. But the line of scrimmage has the greatest effect on the quarterback, whether it be how you're blocking or how you're rushing. And last week, our defense did just the best I've seen us playing downhill, pin your ears back, 11 buzzing bees, some Coach Miles right there, right? Flying around ball. It was it looked like it looked. I mean, and I had the quarterbacks talk about, hey, you know, they didn't like it. You know, we've done a lot of 7-on-7 with pass rush. So instead of the quarterback standing like it's a walk in a park, learn to make awkward throws. Learn to be comfortable when it's not comfortable. And that being said, our secondary's gotten better, but I think, you know, we finally got that front and some depth going. Now, there's some kids that can run. Andre Brown looks really good at corner. Tyler Green's athletic. Andre Brown looks good. Jonathan Crawford looks really good at safety. And Jamil Cooks will be in the mix. So all this, D. Williams is in the mix and going to be on special teams. All 5 of those freshmen are in the mix to play, and they're going to be playing. And Keontae, Tony Fields, Dutra doing solid. Fant, best he's been. Noah Padmore, best he's been. Ben Bach. So we got some depth. It's inexperienced. It's going to get tested. We know it. They know it. We've tested them as best we can. And again, like what we see, it'll be a work in progress, but it's workable.
Touchdown! Wow, what a play!